Hello, dear friends. Every day it's becoming more and more difficult to make a daily summary due to the large amount of important news that is appearing during this month of May. Opinion piece. On a tightrope, cryptos could lose their value. Global regulation would make them all disappear. Bank of England's warning to holders of cryptocurrencies. They would have no intrinsic value except for those backed by gold. There are many exposed individuals who would be on the hook. European anti-money laundering directive would apply to them. National and international legislation is becoming increasingly strict in this respect. The dark side of the force has launched a fake quantum financial system. The original QFS is a living non-terrestrial brain of 2.5 meters in size. It is fifth dimensional and so telepathic it can read your thoughts and intentions. It can sense your frequency to know if you are a good person or a crook. We would get technology that would eliminate the need for money to survive. US declares a state of emergency following fuel transportation shutdown. Let's start. The Bank of England has assured that cryptocurrencies have no intrinsic value and people who invest in them should be prepared to lose all their money. Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey issued a warning in recent hours that alerted cryptocurrency investors. Buy them only if you are prepared to lose all your money, he said. The country's top monetary policy official said. A global regulation of cryptocurrencies would make all those that are not based on an active assets or precious metals disappear. In January, the UK's Financial Conduct Authority had already issued a warning about the risk of incurring huge losses by investing in cryptocurrencies. Bailey's comments come amid the massive rise in cryptocurrencies prices, especially for altcoins, with Ether setting a new all-time high. Criticism of cryptocurrencies by some economists and academics basically refers to currencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Dogecoin, which are not backed by active assets or any powerful financial institution. What is new is that central banks are also interested in issuing digital money. The Economist recently suggested that there are central entities that could issue gov coins. It is to say, cryptos produced directly by states. However, the Bank of England doesn't seem totally opposed to digital currencies. Together with the Treasury, it is apparently working to assess the benefits of a central digital currency that could be commonly known as Bitcoin. By the end of the decade, only 1 in 10 payments in the country is expected to be made with traditional paper money or metal. More than 65 central financial institutions around the world are already working on digital versions of their national currencies. The gov coins would be more stable than cryptos like Bitcoin, which are highly volatile and speculative, as they are supposed to be backed by gold and central bank. Billionaire Warren Buffett has been a strong critic of Bitcoin in recent years, repeatedly dismissing the cryptocurrency as worthless and risky and speculative asset, according to Business Insider article. In quotes, cryptocurrencies are basically worthless and produce nothing. They don't reproduce. They can't send you a check. They can't do anything. And what you hope is that someone else will come along and pay you more money for them later. But then that person has the problem. In terms of value, zero. Buffett questioned. People exposed. there are many exposed persons who are in the hot seat. So-called politically exposed persons, or PIPs, are those who hold or have held relevant public functions. Such a position of power would make them more susceptible to the temptation to engage in shady business or illicit activities, especially related to corruption and money laundering throughout cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin. For this reason, national and supranational legislations are getting stricter and stricter. That would be the case of a directive of the European Parliament on the prevention of the use of the financial system for the purpose of money laundering. Generally speaking, politically exposed persons are considered high-risk individuals for financial institutions or consultants according to Foster Rees. Cryptocurrency Ether sets a new record and surpasses 4,200. The Ethereum network cryptocurrency has touched $4,207, although it has subsequently lost steam and is now hovering around 4,190. Ether has been more successful than Bitcoin in 2021, has soared by more than 30% this year. The lesson of a bubble is not to get out of the market when speculative activity arises. Rather, the lesson is to avoid those specific stocks that are speculative valued, and to be very skeptical of dubious companies that claim they are sure to profit from new and exciting trends. It is during periods like this that the stock selection becomes extremely important. Mayflowers brighten the mood. Change is near and May is spectacular. This May is being so spectacular in important news that I barely have time to process it all. Many warmth is held for the whole year. This information is dropping like May water for those of us who look for signs and signals every day of the subway change that is occurring. In the month of February, the goldfinch signs. In May, the canary signs. May comes with its roses, June with its carnations, and July with its beautiful ears of corn. Sow parsley in May and you will have it all year long, but until the 40th of May, do not take off your hat. Save bread for May and firewood for April, for you don't know what weather may come. All these things are the Spanish tradition. Human nature is about to change, and this is really the first time in its history, according to Cryon. More than a change in human nature, it is about to become new. Psychologists will tell you that human nature is static. That is, it doesn't change, but that is not true. Reset News. The user program contains at least 19 components that are now being implemented one by one, before it can be fully recognized worldwide. However, rest assured that everything is moving forward right now. On Monday, May 3rd, Simon Pax reported for the first time that the quantum financial system has become the only monetary system operating in the world. Simon Pax discusses General Milley's departure and opined that without the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff on board, it would be impossible for President Trump to return. He noted this is an example of the domestic cleanup that needs to happen before the currency reset is released. Simon also commented on his belief that the White House would be being used as a military tribunal because it's not officially on US soil. On Wednesday, May 5th, several reports continue to appear on social media of people being unable to see the Elon Musk SpaceX Starlink satellites into the sky. On Friday, May 7th, the Storm Rider confirmed on Twitter that the Starlink communication system is ready to go. The Starlink communication system is expected to play an integral role in the reveal launch, still expected sometime in May 2021. And Starlink is also expected to contain the new very high-speed quantum internet. The updated Treasury guidance means that date X would likely arrive after the start of fiscal year 2022. The fiscal year in the United States begins on October 1st and ends on September 30th of the following year, obviously. New fake. After launching a fake restart, the dark side of the force has launched a fake quantum financial system that uses a very primitive terrestrial quantum computer compared to the original extraterrestrial one, in order to copy the original and fool us, or as we say here, pull the wool over our eyes, according to Ron Giles. The original quantum financial system, QFS, is not a machine, but a living being. It's not human-made and doesn't come from Earth, but is an out-of-this-world technology. It is basically a big human brain, about 2.5 meters in size. It is fifth-dimensional, and it is so telepathic that it can read your thoughts and intentions. It can sense your frequency to know if you are a good person or a crook. It can read your aura. It knows more about you than you do. You can't fool it. All spaceships and motherships have one of these sentient computers that is the head of the ship and controls everything on it. It knows who you are before it lets you aboard, and it knows what you like and gives it to you. If you need to go to the toilet, a door appears out of nowhere, and you have your bathroom. It makes life very seamless for every person on the ship. It navigates throughout space and runs defense systems to keep them safe. So, if it can do all this and much more, running a financial system on Earth would be a piece of cake. The new QFS is located on a galactic ship in orbit around Earth. Therefore, the bad guys couldn't get close, and the system would be able to see and control all transactions at the same time on the surface. Anyone who was stupid enough, I repeat, anyone who was stupid enough to attempt any dirty deeds would find themselves in jail quickly. All our money would be safe from now on, with this QFS monitoring everything. Your DNA is set to be the password of your QFS account. It only needs to identify you once, and you can go after that anywhere using any device. Oh, and all the ships have replicators and medical beds, and this quantum computer controls the medical beds. On a mothership, the same quantum computer that runs the ship also runs the medical beds on it. But some medical beds are portable units and will contain their own free energy unit and the quantum computer to run off-grid. The device would be much smaller, but just as smart. The irony of it all is that we would get technology that would eliminate the need for money to live or survive. With free power, free transportation, replicators in every home, as well as medical bed, you would have no bills and no expenses, so you won't need money. Most do not realize that money and banks are tools created by the satanic controllers who have taken over this world to suppress us. We don't need banks or money. It is a game they created and use against us. It is the very reason we all struggle all our lives to make it. It's not by chance. You are trapped in the matrix, and these two things are a big part of it. As soon as all the dust settles, everyone will be filthy rich and never again worry about not being able to afford what they want until the need and scarcity disappears. Good news. Message from Puffiness. There are things and changes afoot that would blow your mind if you knew about it at the time. You don't need information that would simply add to your distress and anxiety. No news at this time is good news. In the world of effects, you are better off putting anxiety aside and aligning your objectivity, keeping a clear mind and being ready to take action as it arises. It does no one any good to sit around shaking in their boots or making up problems. Never borrow problems. You are too prone to do that. It is a fact and has held all mankind back for a long time. You live more in fear than in love. Stop and stand on the side of truth and noble thinking. It's not so difficult. Better days are ahead if the populace will just do their own due diligence and read about the ways they are being trampled upon. You are also so screwed up for allowing the authorities to override your common sense. Wake up and come to your senses. You have individual and group rights trampled on in every day. You were not created for this injustice. Think for yourself. The universe is watching you. U.S. declares a state of emergency after pipeline networks shut down. The U.S. government declared a state of emergency after one of the largest fuel pipeline networks operated by Colonial Pipeline was shut down due to a cyber attack 2 days ago. Gasoline rises. U.S. gasoline prices at the pump rose 6 cents in the last week and could soon be headed for the highest level since 2014 due to a supply disruption caused by a cyber attack on the nation's largest fuel pipeline system. Pipeline hackers say their goal is money, not methane. The ransomware gang accused of crippling a major pipeline operator said Monday that it never intended to wreak havoc, an unusual statement that experts saw as a sign that it had gone wrong with the cyber criminal scheme. Tankers booked Europe to ship gasoline to US. Tankers, no, traders, I mean. Traders tentatively booked at least 6 tankers to ship gasoline from Europe to US destination after a cyber attack shut down their main US pipeline network. Stock market record high as commodity prices rise. Wall Street was mixed Monday, with economically sensitive cyclical stocks advancing as investors shifted their bets in favor of stocks that would benefit the most as the economy reopens and the consumer, flush with stimulus savings, brings demand back to life. Biden makes no mention of God on National Day of Prayer. The president, self-proclaimed devout Catholic, didn't mention God once during his National Day of Prayer address on Wednesday, instead talking about moral movements and issues such as racial injustice. Europe. French soldiers warned of cyber war in new letter. A new open letter has been published in France warning of the threat of civil war and claiming to have more than 130,000 signatures from the public. The message, published in a magazine, accuses the French government of granting concessions to Islam. In quotes, "It's about the survival of our country," said the text, which is said to have been issued anonymously by soldiers and calls for public support. Quotes again, "If a civil war breaks out, the army will maintain order on its own soil," the earlier letter said. Spanish hotel chains face the end of the state of alarm with 65% open. The main hotel chains in Spain face the end of a state of alarm with about 65% of the establishments open, which will allow the recovery of mobility at the state level while awaiting the decisions to be taken by the different autonomous communities. Legal proceedings for alleged crimes against humankind. An international team of more than 1,000 lawyers and more than 10,000 experts led by Dr. Rainer Vollmich have initiated legal proceedings against several institutions for alleged crimes against humankind. In their view, the experimental treatment violates the 10 Nuremberg codes, which carry the death penalty for those who intended to violate these international laws. Under Article 32 on the Fourth Geneva Convention of 1949, in quotes, "scientific experiments which are not necessary for the treatment of a protected person are prohibited." The West is losing the war for planet Earth because it no longer stands for good and currently has incompetent leadership. The West that many of us grew up in represented democracy, human rights, wealth and progress. Now it represents disease, economic inequality and war. The reason for this decline is that a satanic cult has taken over the West. Unless the West restores real democracy, the rule of law, respect for human rights, and competent economic management, the next generation will become Chinese slaves. Davos leader Klaus Schwab told Swiss television in 2016 that every human being will have a microchip embedded in their brain or under their skin to connect them to a centralized computer network. According to Polish intelligence, Klaus Schwab has a meeting scheduled for July with power elites where they will discuss a mandatory ID for everyone. Sources say that, in quotes, "this will not only control their access to money, but also their access to a fully censored internet. The elites are panicking and are pushing their plans because too many people have become aware of their existence and have begun to revolt." Middle East. At least 20 killed in Gaza in a spike in Israeli-Palestinian violence. At least 20 Palestinians, including 9 children, were killed in the Gaza Strip and 65 wounded in escalating violence with Israel, including massive rocket fire from the enclave, setting off alarm bells in tense Jerusalem. The Israeli army shelled the Strip in response, although it couldn't be certain that all those killed were from these attacks. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned that Palestinian gunfire crossed a red line as anti-aircraft alarms continue to sound in different parts of Israel. The Taliban declare a truce in the midst of a wave of violence in Afghanistan. The Taliban announced Monday a 3-day ceasefire for this week, a decision that comes amid an insurgent offensive across the country, and that the government hopes will boost the stalled peace negotiations. The war in the Asian country has particularly escalated in the past week, with fighting in several provinces leaving hundreds dead according to Kabul, while there were 2 bloody attacks on civilians that left nearly 100 dead and 175 wounded. What a tragedy. US military ship fires 30 warning shots after an encounter with Iranian vessels. A US Coast Guard ship fired about 30 warning shots after 13 Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy vessels approached it and other US Navy ships in the Strait of Hormuz, the Pentagon said Monday. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, friends.